So, saying our names, Anne?
My name's Anne.
Yes. John?
Hello, I'm Joe.
Hello. Ross. David. Dean.
And Tanya?
And Kat.
And Kat.
Officer.
Oh, you can maybe move that a little bit. Would anyone like to do the introduction today? From the seat, or swap the seat with me? Just say a few words, or no? There's no pressure, it's just invitation. No, okay. I'll go for it. Tanya, will help?
Oh, listen.
Ah. There's someone at the door. Let's wait for him. Good morning. Hang on, yes. So, okay, so we're starting, and this is usually how Bob would start. There was few first introductory words that he would start with. First, start from the fact that you are already that what you're looking for, that what you're seeking, that what you want is already inherently present right here, right now. Another sort of little one-liner that he would say, there is nothing that anyone can teach you. There is nothing that anyone can tell you. Because there isn't anyone here. It's just that one life expressing through every single vehicle. It's one energy or one life. In physics, you would say this is the energy field that is vibrating into the electricity or into X-rays or into electromagnetic waves or into sound waves. And that's obvious. That's kind of, yes, we can break everything, every single piece of matter into the vibration of subatomic particles and break it down to energy. But it is simpler than that. You don't need to have any background in science to realize that without labeling anything as separate, it is all just appearing in that field of presence, in the field of knowing. The body is appearing in that presence, in the field of knowing. If you were not here, if you were unconscious, none of that would show up. So this is like a basic step to realizing that there is no separation in direct experience. The separation, the sense of objects being separate, the sense of me being separate from you and from environment and from space, come with the conditioning that comes from learning, from labeling, from using language. And it's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It is a wonderful capacity that humans have. Animals don't have that capacity. So when you watch the animals, a couple of cats, they will be moving around here. Hopefully they come and say hello. They don't have concept of being cats. They don't know what they are. They don't have symbolic language to label themselves or anything out there. They just move with the impulses that life creates. If there is an impulse to go to the kitty litter or there is impulse to go and drink water, the body follows the impulse. It just moves through that field. And so did everyone else. Every insect, every tree moving with the wind, every human. But we have the function, the extra capacity installed in that beautiful, brilliant biocomputer, which is narrating everything and translating it like a sport commentator into, I did that. I will go to the toilet. I will book my flights to next destination. Or I have done something wrong and now I feel guilty. Or I was traumatized in the past. Always, whatever the life or whatever impulse has been created and moved the body whichever way to respond to the environment in the way which was most optimal in this moment, because this is a really, really brilliant computer and it calculates everything in a way to get the optimal response, optimizing the chances for survival. Sorry for that. I didn't actually. Oh, no. So, you couldn't possibly do anything better or different because you haven't done a thing. It is the way the cat is evaluating environment and responding to it. And there is no cat evaluating the environment. Is the inseparable field of response and stimuli that are just dancing together, flowing together, and the same with everyone. It's just that the sport commentator or the narrative will come and say, I did that, I could have done it better. See, speaking of the devil, come here, devil. See, he's acting naturally. He's attracted to pleasure and repelled from pain because that optimizes survival. Something that is pleasurable is unlikely or less likely to kill you in a short term. So that basic algorithm translates the whole dream into different myriads of different responses and behaviors that every single creature has. But it's really, really binary basic algorithm that you can recognize in every action. And that function of taking credit that goes through the narrative is also equally brilliant. And life evolved to create that narrative self, that illusion of someone there running the show, doing the things, going and drinking water or thinking about past and future. This illusion that there is a self there, someone, the me, the I, that is doing it. And it is also a brilliant evolutionary mechanism which enables the whole civilization to rise, which enables the big groups of people to connect, share the story, share the dream, and cooperate, work together. But it backfires. Because the flip side of that brilliant capacity is the identity with that little self. There is a little me there inside, the tiny little miniature of a person who can get things wrong, or who feels not enough. I am not smart enough, not young enough, not strong, not rich, not whatever. There is always something missing, because now, if I am a thing separated from the thing that is not I, this is I and this is not I, then of course I'm less than totality. I'm somehow scarce. There is sense of limitation, sense of existential angst. I'm vulnerable. I am a thing. I can be destroyed. I can be humiliated, and the fear, the anxiety that comes with it, and the sense of deficiency and the sense of lack that comes with it, and the sense of vulnerability and depression and the suffering, the psychological suffering. How can I medicate it? What can I do to feel a little bit more complete? And that's where the conditioning, if I'm deficient, well, I need to find something that will complete me. For someone, it will be a money that will give them false sense of security, or relationship, or career, or recognition. I'll be a rock star, or actor, or politician. People will depend on me. Or I will have a fortress with 1,000 locks and security cameras. Or I will have a big group of people who will, whatever it is, that kind of gives that false sense of security. And it never works, because as Bob would often say, have you seen a millionaire who had enough? The more they have, the more they are afraid of losing what they have. And this is the paradox of that sense of identity, in which the wrong assumption is that I am limited. I am this body, or I am this mind. Therefore I'm vulnerable and I'm not enough. So now I'm adding and accumulating and trying to fix myself, medicate myself, silence that existential angst by whatever, gambling, shopping, sex, addictions, sedate that sense of inadequacy, inferiority, inadequacy, by whatever, by distractions, social medias, or drugs, or alcohol, or whatever. And that never works. And that lands people in the places where Bob was, as a young guy in a pits of alcoholism. And many others here that came first to his groups were 12-step program people. And even if you didn't end up being in the gutter, there is still a sense of insecurity, vulnerability, deficiency as a dream character. And it always is, because the dream character is incomplete. It is just a vehicle of expression and experiencing. What you are is not your costume. You are not your house, you are not your car, you are not your coat. You are not your body, you are not your left hand, you are not your right hand, you are not your face. In direct experience, you can't even say you have the face. In direct experience, of course, it will, you close your eyes, can I sense my face? No, I can sense the sensations, but the image of the face comes straight rushing from the memory. But is it really the direct experience, or is it a translation of that buzzing through the mind to the image that is digged out from the memory? So in non-duality, and this straight away brings everyone on the same page, when we discard or push aside any conceptualization, any translation, any interpretation that comes from the thinking, and we go to the direct experience, and Bob would have this brilliant one-liner, one of the titles of his books out there, What is Wrong with Right Now, if I don't think about it. And you can test it out. You can test it out in the most dramatic turmoils, whether it is physical or whether it is emotional. You can even test it out in a sample it in the imagination. You're hanging nailed to the cross and you ask, what is wrong with right now if I don't think about it? Meaning I don't have a thought that I shouldn't be here. It's just sensations going on that may be pleasant or painful, but they, without thinking about it, you can't even say that they are pleasant or painful. You can't, because that's a thought that translates things. That's the thought that says it should be different. That's the thought that will be chasing and moving for some other ways. I should actually check if we are audible. Sometimes we have problem with the sound. You can't see any comments. Good. There is someone at the door. We have a couple of chairs here and one here. Hey.
One for Aidan down there.
Dean is here, but there's one here. Yes, so we trust that we are audible, but we'll just double check. Oopsie. It's good. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, there's chairs.
There's chairs.
Yeah.
Right.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, so we were just about the quick introduction, referring back to what is a direct experience and what is the thought. The thought is a translation. I mean, of course, the thought is also present, is arising right here, right now. There's nothing unnatural about the thought arising. In fact, the thought is arising spontaneously as the part of the functioning of that machine, just like the sweat is arising when it's hot, or the shivers are arising when it's cold, or the digestive juices are arising when the stomach is full. Everything naturally, spontaneously arises. Nobody thinks the thought. Nobody knows how to think the thought, how to create the mental image. It is a complex process, just like secreting the sweat or the saliva. Nobody does that. It is part of the functioning, part of the arising. So in the response of any situation that the body finds itself, the commentary, the narrative naturally arises. But the commentary arises roughly half a second after the impulse is arising. The impulse to move, to act, or rumination, whatever is arising, the thought is translating it into the mental image or description. So non-duality is about going prior to the mind's interpretation into that experience which happens, the raw organic experience of that impulse, without labeling it anything, without telling, oh, this is anxiety, or this is fear, or this is stress. What is it without the label? What is it without the thought? Seeing, experiencing, without needing to take credit for it. Oh, I judged. Oh, I shouldn't be judging. I had conceptual image of someone, or they don't like me. Those are our interpretations. in that field of spontaneous presence, spontaneous cognizing emptiness, they call it sometimes, the field of pure witnessing, in which there is that cognizing capacity, because, even without the thought, there are sounds being registered, there is temperature being registered, even without labeling anything or translating it into thinking. There are objects seen in the room that don't have to be brought into narration to be acknowledged. So that natural state of being prior to the thinking, in that natural state, there is no separation and there is nothing wrong. Even if the body is uncomfortable, there is nothing wrong if there is no concept that the body shouldn't be uncomfortable. The impulse will arise to bring comfort if that's on the menu. If it's not available or not possible, the impulse won't arise. And the uncomfortability may cause the body will cater for itself, as it does for the cat. It will hide, it will crawl, it will whatever. There is no problem without the thought, frankly. Every suffering, psychological sense of suffering, arises with the idea that things should be different than they are. Without that thought, who are you? What's wrong with you without the thought? Do you have the past without the thought? Who were you yesterday? Where were you without the thought? You see that whole overlay of the whole interpretation, the overlay of that conceptualized world, the dream that comes from the stories. I'm a person, I'm a woman, I'm Australian or Polish, I'm a widow or married or mother or ship's officer, whatever the concept is. And it changes also. I'm sad, or I'm angry, or I'm hungry. 1,000 little identities coming up. I'm a seeker, I'm a spiritual seeker. I'm incomplete, I have to find the truth. I'm longing for liberation. I have to find it, I have to meditate, practice. So in the future, I'll become someone or something that I want to become. Who do I want to become? I want to become an enlightened person. That's impossible. Enlightenment is the absence of the illusion of being person. Without the thought, are you a person? Right in this moment, without the thought, are you a person? Are you male or female if you don't have a thought? Do you have a face if you don't have a mental image or a thought? And without the thought, did you stop existing? Are you unconscious without the thought? Are you absent? So this is from that quick investigation that Bob usually offers us, what's wrong with right now if I don't think about it. You see what's wrong. Oh shit, nothing. Obviously. Without the thought, what could you say? What's wrong without the thought? What could you say? Nothing. But did you stop existing? No. Were you unconscious? No. So the consciousness, the existence, is prior to thinking, prior to interpretation. So without that overlay of thinking and interpreting as something or someone, you are already in that natural state. This is what they call great enlightenment, natural state. Great enlightenment is another concept that is very misguiding and misleading. It's a beautiful, again, live, self-organizing universe created that brilliant sales pitch for the seekers to embark on the journey. There is a possibility of endless bliss of nirvana. Guess what happens with the body if you get the serotonin shock that lasts too long? Fuses blow and the body is dead. That's it. And apparently everyone is up for it when you're on your way out. The machinery is constructed in a way that it releases the DMT and the serotonin shock, takes you to the bliss all the way to the other side. But this is not right now. Right now, the possibility of that nirvana being endless ecstasy is just a sales pitch to embark on the journey so that the life can play the game of hide and seek, because it has never ever been hidden or never been not here. The life, the pure potentiality, the field or the godliness or that pure presence has never been hidden. How could it be? Without that, the whole dream couldn't even exist. Without the aliveness in the body, nothing is. So how hidden is that? Yet, because the whole human conditioning is about, when the baby is growing up and is learning language and is conditioning that machine to translate everything into symbols, symbolic language, like Adam and Eve eating from the tree of knowledge, learning what's good and evil, distinguishing, separating, segregating, and labeling, lost the paradise. The natural state is lost in learning language, in putting everything into symbols, distinguishing, dividing, separating. But is it really lost? Could it ever be lost? The language is only the overlay of that conceptual, it's like almost like a blanket covering up the natural state. Oh, this is this is that, this is it, this is me, this is not me. This is only like a veil of illusion on top of that natural state, which on top of this white canvas, which could never ever not exist. Space like awareness could never not exist. And it's only one thought away, one idea away. So when the child is growing, learning symbols, putting labels on everything, differentiating myself from the others, I'm a little girl or a little boy, good or bad. And then the vulnerability kicks in, and then the need to complete oneself and gather more stories, more traumas, differentiating, building the identity, adding to it, making it really, really juicy and complex, and creating a strong attachment to my specialness. How different, how amazing I am. Nobody can see the world the way I do. True. But is it really, am I really that costume through which the life is experiencing itself? Or am I the life? Am I really the face and the eyes with its little myopia? Am I really the voice with that strong accent? Or am I the life, the energy behind that uses the vehicle, that uses the eyes to see, uses the voice to express itself? What am I if I don't think about it? Because if I do think about it, oh, I'm a person, I'm the dream character, this is who I am. Everything that happens to me is personal. And I want pleasure, and I want enlightenment, and I want that for myself. But without the thought, what's ever wrong? What's wrong with this moment? What's wrong with anything that arises in this moment, be it a thought or a feeling? So again, when you look at the energy expressing as the light through the globe, as the heat through the heating system, or as the movie on the screen, it is still the energy expressing. So you are the energy, but energy is everything. So being the energy, you are the expression of it as well. You are the energy formulating, expressing as the body, as the voice, as the seeing, all of it, but not exclusively, also as every other body and every other form. But this gets, sometimes it is meant to be a little bit overwhelming and confusing, because then it shuts down the biocomputer, it stops processing, and it says, sorry, I rest my case, I can't go there. I can't understand it, it's too big, I can't. That's the point. It doesn't need to be understood. It doesn't need to be learned. It needs to be recognized in the direct experience. And in the direct experience, if there is no thought of separation, everything arises in the field of knowing, simultaneously. When you wake up from the dream, simultaneously, the seer and the seen, and the whole seeing arises simultaneously, can't be separated. That's the experience. Within the seeing, the field, the capacity that is arising, the vehicle and the observed objects within that. Seeing is singular. The vision comes from eating the fruit of, of knowledge of good or evil. This is me, this is not me. But the seeing is singular. Hearing is singular. There are sounds arising in that field of hearing, and there is a hearer arising, being conceptualized in that field of hearing. But the field is singular, the hearing, the capacity is singular. Thinking, the field of thinking, the capacity for thinking, is a process, just like digesting, just like breathing. It's a singular. The mind and the language comes and divides it. So direct experience is always singular. Overlay of concepts and divisions is secondary. It happens later. It doesn't have to stop. It can't. This is the same automatic autopilot running program, helpful program, as it is with running the blood through the vessels and putting it to the lungs, dropping the oxygen in the blood. It can't and it doesn't have to be stopped. Thinking, judging, interpreting, adding stories, meanings. It's a wonderful, wonderful dance of life expressing as such. It doesn't need to stop. It needs to be recognized. It needs to be recognized in a way as automatic process, as a function, just like seeing. You don't do the seeing. You don't know how. How would you know how to send that electric impulse to your retina and convert it through the brain, put it upside? You wouldn't know. It's no one doing seeing. Seeing is a function that is happening. And so is the thinking. Thinking arises. Thoughts arise. Decisions arise. Choices arise. Sometimes there are two options arising in consciousness. One of them is slightly more charged emotionally, and one is slightly less. And that one will perpetuate itself, and the mind will come and said, I chose, I made the decision. But the decision arose already pre-charged. Sometimes they arise as equal options, and it takes a year or a month or a week or an hour for one or the other to get charged and perpetuate action. And there is vacillation going on and no action going on. This is also arising. You are the presence, you are the witnessing presence in which all that magnificent game of thoughts, feelings, emotions, responses, actions, all that dance arises to be recognized as spontaneous activity of expression of that same one life. Discover your next thought. Discover, be curious, see what it is gonna be. See what your next feeling is gonna be. See what's your next response to the situation. What's the next situation's gonna be. In this way, the life is like the life of a cat. He has no idea. He will respond to whatever arises, and he has no idea how he will respond. He's just completely open, like a little baby. And living that life from that state of curious openness, living the dream, just letting the body respond the way it is already preconditioned to respond, and not worrying about controlling it. Because that illusion of control, that, oh, if I stop controlling it, it will stop paying taxes, or maybe it will stop going to work and making money or cook, or maybe wash itself. Oh no, I have to be in charge. No, you have never been in charge. The one who believes to have control, free will, and be in charge is that interface, is that hallucinated little dwarf there living inside, transparent. Nobody ever found one. That little creature, mini-me, that doesn't exist. The illusion of control is the only thing that is to be lost. You're not losing the control. You're losing the illusion of control when you see through the way the dream has been constructed, the way that autopilot narrative is being constructed, is being trained and installed, just the way the programs are being installed into whatever, your social media, recognizing where is the more attention going. So you're going to get like that microseconds of attention going to the advertisement of yogurt, and you're going to be drowned in those same advertisements, because the whole show is about the movement of attention. Whatever gets attention, that gets life, because attention is that energy that brings life. So if you give attention to the idea of being the doer, being a self, being an ego, being in charge, being in control, well, you give it life. You make it real. It feels real. And it feels stressful because you can get things wrong. You can be ashamed of yourself. You can strive for improvement and growing and motivation and achievement, and believe that you're getting it or you're not getting it, and the fleeting pleasure of that illusion of control. While there is a possibility of living the life in a state of absolute freedom, openness, and curiosity, in which that illusion is put aside, and everything happens just the same way. Everything unfolds as it should. The body is already programmed to survive and thrive. The whole mind is supporting that machinery, which is like a vehicle for the consciousness to experience and express, to act in its own best interest. And its own best interest is to be socially well conditioned, is to have friends, and to have support, and to have shelter and work. This is already preconditioned. Nobody has to control it. Every animal has the same program installed. So if you rest your case and just see where it takes you without any need to take charge, and with the openness and curiosity discovering how is that life gonna be, discover how you are being lived without needing to be in charge, without needing to control anything. And then you will see that sense of self, that sense of a mini-me running the show, when it first just watches that it is completely redundant, completely unnecessary, then it's just too obvious that it is an illusion, that it doesn't even exist. And Bob had another ways to actually investigate whether there is someone there. For example, yes, look who is looking. See if you are doing a seeing. Is there anybody there behind the eyes doing the looking? Just sense it for a moment and see. Or is just looking. Is there anybody there thinking the thought? Or is just the thought arising, just showing up? Did anybody created it? Wow. Amazing. How simple. Is there anybody moving the hand or deciding to do that? Or the impulse is discovered in consciousness, and that impulse is being followed by the body spontaneously. What a more efficient and ergonomic way of interpreting the world around you. You are not the doer, and neither is anyone else. You can never ever hold anything against anyone, and moreover against yourself. There is no space for feeling inferior, guilty, remorseful, all psychological suffering that comes from the ideas that I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I've done something wrong. There's just no space for it. Life is just spontaneously arising. You are the presence. You are the eyes for God, which can see its own play, which can discover. And now it kind of almost feels like, oh my gosh, what, am I God? That's a grandiosity. That's a delusion of grandeur. I'm not. No, of course not. No words can capture it. It's like for the mind that is looking for that God inside, is gonna find nothing. But are you nothing? Nothing is zilch, is non-existence. But you are existing. You can't stop existing. So you can't be nothing. Even though the mind will always find nothing, you're not nothing. You are aliveness, the energy, the sentience, the radiance, the luminous brilliance of existence that is undeniable. It can't be stopped. This is the direct experience. Within that field of luminous, brilliant aliveness, the consciousness, the field of knowing, everything arising, including the vehicle that is speaking, including the vehicle that is listening, is arising within that field of knowing. That is the experience. Very, very quickly mind comes and translates, no, I'm not quite it. I'm not there yet. Maybe after under 10,000 hours of sitting in silence, maybe I'll get there, I'll become that. The I that wants it is the illusory self, is the avatar, is the program, like in your phone. If you have ChatGPT or you have iPhone and you have Siri, there is a program which says, you can say, Siri, what's the weather today? Oh, I will find out for you. Or Siri, what do you think? Oh, I think that. Or you say, thank you. Oh, you're welcome anytime. I'll help you with whatever I want. Is there any I that is saying any of that? Or is just a narrative program that is translating into the language of symbols, I, not I? ChatGPT, I can't tell you how many times it's telling me. I ask it about itself and it's telling me using the I. Everybody uses the I. But is there anything like that? Or is just a translation using the dualistic language? And language, can it even be non-dualistic? Non-duality cannot be experienced. Non-duality can only be conceptualized as a pointer. It cannot be experienced as a thing. Non-duality is not an object. If it was an object that you can name, it would already be duality because it would appear in a space of its opposite, of not it. So non-duality is not a thing. It's a pointer to the fact that, oh, we have someone on the door. Everything that is experienced and can be experienced. Hi, Tony, there's a chair there. That can be experienced is experienced because it has its opposite. Its opposite, which is not it. You know, the feeling of sadness has the opposite of not feeling of sadness. The carrot has its opposite as no carrot. So the whole dream, everything that can possibly be perceived, conceived, experienced in any way, conceptualized in any way, is part of the duality. And this is not, some people have concepts that you have to hate the dream, you have to hate it to wake up from it. There is no you to hate it. There's no need to adopt any self-hypnosis and reject any of it. Is the life expressing itself? Is the loving to be expressing as a mosquito, as a carrot, as anything? There's no need to adopt any position or any reference point and any perspective on the dream. Recognizing it for what it is, that's all that needs to be done. Nisargadatta's quote that Bob often brought up is, the dream is not your problem. Enjoy it. Dream is not your problem. Your problem is that you love one part and not the other. So the separation, division. He says, love all of it or none of it. Meaning, don't bother adopting any position to any elements of the dream. Treat it equally. Pain, pleasure. Either love or hate, doesn't matter. Because if you love everything, there's no love. If you hate everything, there's no hate. If you paint everything white, there is no white. Because there is no reference point to even label it as such. So if there is that open curiosity, no judgment, statement, or labeling of anything in the dream, neutrality, that is all that you have to, that is all that is to be done. And then Nisargadatta says, that's all that needs to be done. The rest will be done for you by the same life essence that brought you into existence, grow you into that vehicle through which it can experience itself. You did nothing about it. You did nothing about growing your arms and legs and feeding yourself. Nothing. That is all self-organizing universe expressing through that vehicle as the vehicle. So there's really, really nothing to be done because there is no one to do anything. So it's really about relaxing and enjoying the play, enjoying the show, recognizing that everything that arises spontaneously. Sense of responsibility arises spontaneously. If the body has been conditioned to run and save someone from the truck, that is what it is going to do. Whether there is a narrative saying, oh, I decided, or I haven't decided, or there is no narrative whatsoever, that is what is going to happen. So everyone, in a way, is preconditioned, and the conditioning is constantly updating. Every situation updates that biocomputer. You, as the field of consciousness, just sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Discover the show. Learn about that mind. Learn about its behaviors, its responses, its complaints. That's the brilliant part. The mind will continuously complain because that is its way of expressing loving care. It's too cold. Oh, it's too hot. It's loving care, obviously. It wouldn't give a shit if there was no loving care for that vehicle to be comfortable. Oh, they hate me. Oh, I hate them. All loving care. You listen to the complaints of the mind and you have a ball. And you laugh. You don't believe it anymore. Not that there is anyone to believe it, but seen from the perspective of complete neutrality, there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with mind complaining. Of course, the dream character will still throw the tantrum. You know, you step on a cat's tail and it will still scream. You stub your toe and the body will still scream. But you are the consciousness in which the body is engaging in the quarrel or fight, in which the body is crying. And trust me, you can really, really enjoy a good cry. So yummy. You can enjoy the outburst of volcano erupting through the system. Ah, beautiful. As the consciousness, there is nothing wrong in a way the energy is experiencing and expressing itself through the body. And when there is no resistance towards that expression, with no resistance, the anger bursts out and the shame or whatever comes, it resolves itself very quickly. Just like cats and birds, they don't resist what comes, and it resolves itself very quickly. And this is not to say that any teenage boys having the rush of testosterone and aggression should just give in and fight everyone else. This is not in their doing either. The self-regulating society bringing the inhibitions and resistance is part of it. This is the brilliance of life too. This is also to be witnessed and appreciated and enjoyed, because no one does anything. I think we're going over time, and I have some comments from our online community. So we have a lot of good morning messages, and Sandy says, great to be with you again. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Sandy. And morning messages, more morning. Always a fresh spiel card. Glad to see you all. Hey, chat. Thank you, Anthony. And Tanya says, so seeing through the fear of gaining weight from eating food that is not on your meal plan or eating more is as easy as seeing what is wrong with right now if you don't think about it. I ask as I have been inquiring on this topic for seemingly many years. Absolutely, Tanya. You recognize that fear as another way of love of being expressing itself. I don't want to gain weight either. But who is that I who doesn't want to gain weight? It's just a thought. And that thought is to be loved and appreciated. It's not me. I don't think it. It just happens. And Anika sends big love, and Kim says, magnificent presence, yes. And Peter, best description ever on the illusion of control. The dream is not the problem, and a big smile. And Kim says, one can experience the void as a direct experience and see the manifest world arising out of the void. Isn't it incredible? And Mitra says, thanks. And that's it. That's the contribution from online community for now. So now this is the invitation for our here community here to contribute and ask and share. And you can even just say how it sits with you, or what's annoying, or what's provoking, or what's sitting well and relaxing. Anything. Just bring anything into the picture. Practical aspects of it, applicability of it. Whatever, how to, just anchor yourself or remember or relax in the point of turmoil. Everyone already knows they exist. There is no one who doesn't, no one who knows it less than I do, or Buddha or Jesus or anyone else. Everyone knows they exist. This is the final truth. That I am, I know. Go on, Dino.
So, I just want to show a case.
Oh, yeah.
That's all. Yeah, that's enough. But like whatever was explained, like people walk into this room, listen to something, things resonate, things make sense, and yet I sit, everything's forgotten completely. Like there is no, everything that just was said, as brilliant as it may have been, or as brilliant as anyone's ever said, is completely gone, because all there is this. And in this moment, it's not a moment, it's just this. I've just described it as this. You could call it non-conceptual awareness, where there is no concept of anything, just the thisness, the aliveness. And in that aliveness, things have, perhaps, like I cannot even explain or tell you that my conditioning's been updated from the spiel. Perhaps it has, and then these words may include this update of what just happened. I don't really experience that though. It's just some intellectual understanding, because all I experience is the aliveness of this moment, and it may contain everything that was just said. It may appear to be updated, and everything's this. In this is the appearance of that one essence, like the energy, expressing itself through these words. But that same appearance includes the thoughts that are passing by, includes every thought that ever has been, and it's not different. It can't be different to anyone, because everyone's included in it. And because I am, everything is. It's so obvious, because if I'm not, nothing can be. And it's not Dean, this is completely universal. And I think coming into this room and all of this non-duality is a celebration of the aliveness, of the presence, of the thisness, which is undeniable, and you don't need to learn anything to discover what is already there. It's what is illuminating, what is making the show possible. The breath, the word, the seeing, the hearing, the whole show is due to the presence of being. It's like an explosion of now that the whole thing erupts and presents and is. And I guess this is just another way of expressing everything that was just mentioned before, and has been mentioned in the scriptures, and has been mentioned from the beginning of and the end of time. And there is no time, because it's just this, and there really is no time. Like, you watch a thought and you'll see that every thought embedded in thoughts, I mean, this is just another way of describing things. It's not really true either, but embedded in thoughts is I, me, my. Is an idea of a me having a thought is embedded in the thought itself. Most thoughts have that, this microphone, I'm speaking, or it's me, it's I'm seeing, it's all embedded in the thinking. And it also embedded in the thinking is the idea of time, because it's like a series of thoughts in time. It's all trickery. It's all hilariously ridiculous, because so when they're describing Watch the Mind, it's like it brings up all of these. You start to see it. It sort of starts to break down and become. It's like a film strip Or it's like you're watching a movie and the movie's so real, and yet all of a sudden, and then you're shown the real, and you're shown each frame. It's like, oh, hang on, this isn't, I thought this was a full movie, but yet it's actually little pictures put together and strung together to make it, to appear like there's time and space and there's a story and there's characters and everything's so real. But if you break it down to these little strips, these little pieces of film or whatever you want to call it, wow, it's not, the movie was never real. And then what is this piece of paper or this film cord that they're all printed on? All of a sudden, what do we believe to be? And that's our thoughts. That's the world. That's the universe. That's me, myself, and I. It breaks down and crumbles into stardust, and then you can wear stupid things around your neck like this and dance and laugh. And I saw this image this morning, which I thought was so fantastic. And it's a guy staring, deeply, looking really carefully into the mirror, just looking at who am I. And then in the mirror, all he can see is a clown laughing and pointing back at him, because that's the cosmic joke. Because there's no me as such, as an individual looking into the mirror, but there is an appearance of a character and many characters in sort of suspended in this like space like ness of now, and in this moment there is no just peace, man. Next. Who's next? Ross?
Yeah, there's a puzzling feeling that Dean was just talking about. It reminded me of this conversation I had during the week about two grandparents that are going to see this little grandchild that they may have only seen. They've got quite a few children apparently, and they may have not seen this little guy very much. So when the grandparents turned up, this little boy, who was only about 2, was quite disturbed by seeing these two old people turn up. And the guy immediately knew that there's something wrong, that the little fellow was disturbed by their appearance. And he thought, I wonder whether his son had told the little baby, little child, that the grandparents, or whatever they call themselves, grandpa and grandpop or something, were coming. And the son said, oh, no, I didn't really think about that. I just thought that you'd come along and you'd babysit them and it would be okay. But what he pointed out was that although he couldn't speak, he was still knowing. He was knowing, and he was conscious, and obviously happy to be. But he couldn't express that. And who are these people? These people have turned up. He knew that the presence was there of these people, but was unable to express what he felt. What he felt was some sort of not sort of unsatisfactory feeling, which could only be resolved eventually in language. So until he had the name for the grandparents, they were just, they were puzzled. Or like Dean was saying, you're looking at yourself in a mirror, but you're seeing a clown looking back. Or a little child was in that predicament. He wasn't sure what was going on, didn't have the language to express it. So it was just a sort of curious thing that happened.
It's a beautiful story. And so the child didn't have the language to articulate it, but certainly the expression was there. So it's not that the others seeming in the room weren't aware, and the child clearly, demonstrated discomfort. And it was, seen, knowing by others, even without the words. And we do that so often with animals, our pets. It's very, it happens all the time. We interpret body language and mood, all sorts of things without having to articulate with, symbolic language. And this is how, pre-conceptual infants survive, is through that expressing. But where that the experiencer and the experienced, we are not that. They are objects. They're objects. We are that which is happening spontaneously. Experiencing, the knowing, the presence awareness that Bob used to call it. And it's happening instantaneous, is knowing, is right now. And as Dean says, and I often say this, coming to terms with none of this being personal becomes a little easier perhaps when you can clearly see that there is no time. The time is an illusion. The yesterday is nothing but a thought or a collection of thoughts. Future is nothing but a collection of thoughts and imagination. There's only ever the experiencing of right now. Instantaneous, spontaneous. And it's the mind, which doesn't exist, illusory, also, which strings together and creates an appearance of continuation and linearity. But actually, there's only ever every unique instant, spontaneous, every moment. Really look, that is the actual experience. Kat, it was a beautiful spiel, so comprehensive, so gorgeously articulated. It's just, you explain, it's the same thing said in so many different ways, coming at so many different angles. And then Dean as well, opening it up even further. But this, none of it is personal. None of it is personal.
It's very personal. You're wrong and I'm right. This is good and this is bad.
Every object contains its opposite.
Exactly.
But ultimately, there is no requirement to believe the thought judgment. It's, energy of belief when it goes into that thought that comes, but there's no requirement to do that.
Totally. That's why I'm highlighting the ridiculousness of it, because it's amazing. And to think that all these thoughts which have the time and the personalness of them, no one has done them. No one made them. No one created them. They're just appearances.
Who cares?
So, exactly. So if that's seen, it has to be someone else isn't having real, personal, true thoughts, and this is having impersonal thought. It doesn't even make sense that even exists. It's the energy of thoughts are seen through for what they are. So no one has ever done any of them. No one has ever had a true or real thought, although they're all appearances though, for everyone. And it's like everyone's already, that means that everything's resolved for everyone. It has to be in another sense of looking at it. That's all. And yeah.
No one does anything. No one knows anything. That's, how can there be, if there's no one there to do the thinking, to be the causal agent, then how can there be any knowing of the individual as to right and wrong, black and white, yesterday and tomorrow? All you can say with absolute certainty is that if not for something which I cannot name, which I cannot put my finger on, which I cannot describe, because the only tool I have is the limited dualistic mind, if not for that something which I cannot articulate, which sits in the background, I know is there in the heart, not in the mind. I know it's there with the heart. Don't need to think about it. If not for that which you know from the heart, there is nothing, no thing. Everything else is an object.
Nothing appearing as everything.
I have a couple of comments here from online. You keep
We're gonna-
the mic, Michael. And I'll just read it, include the people. Tanya says, thank you, Kat. I can't find an I. Just a thought to be appreciated as nothing is excluded. Absolutely. And Heather says, it's a dream. And a big heart to it. Absolutely. It's like a dream, isn't it? It's dreamy. And you can be living a dream rather than a nightmare. And Anthony says, all the enlightened folk just know who they are. It is not that impressive, really, laughing out loud. Or you could also say, Anthony, they have absolutely no clue who they are, but they don't give a shit. Because there is no one who wants to know who they are. The ultimate freedom from the illusion of self means that there is no one who is craving enlightenment. There isn't anyone there to know who they are. There isn't anyone there to know who they are not. There isn't anyone there who objects to anything that arises in the dream. But yes, we do use that pointer. You know who you are. You are the life essence. You are the energy. You are not the costume. You are not the globe through which the light is coming. You are not the toaster through which the heat is coming. You are the energy that is transformed through that whole transformer as the light in your eyes, as the heat in your body, as the capacity to hear. Yes, you can totally say it. Knowing who you are the essence, not the expression of it. Everything is true in its essence and is Maya, an illusion, as it appears. As it says in the Hindu scriptures, the reality is Satchitananda. Being, awareness of being, and a stillness of being. That's the reality. Nama Rupa, which is name and form, is illusion, is Maya. Your name is an illusion. Your form is an illusion. Your reality is Satchitananda, being, awareness, bliss, not the form in which that being shows up, not the form of the phone, not the form of the sound or any other form. And I also wanted to acknowledge, I absolutely loved the encounter between Dean and Tanya for its energetic component. Because, apparently there is only a fraction of the communication going through words. But if you really hear to that energetic certainty, that place they're coming from, describing the direct experience, you tune in and you resonate, they're describing my experience too. Whoa, yeah, what a good way to put it. I recognize it. So then you may start describing it in your own way. Michael, your turn.
Yeah, it does sound like an energetic thing, or feel like an energetic thing. And it's very confusing to get lost in the story, get lost in the movie still. Because I just find myself getting completely lost in it sometimes. And even though logically I completely get it and I have experience of it not being that, that can happen. And I mean, even sound, because there's also this little hesitation, I guess, because even the sounds we're hearing now, so the sounds we're hearing now are coming up, and instantly the mind gives them a meaning and a location, and that's something that we've got for survival. We have a meaning and a location, and that allows us to exist in this 3D reality. If you don't give it that, then there's no direction. It's just arising, exactly like a thought's just arising. And that thought also has no meaning, really. It's just like the sound arising with the only meaning you can give it is you grab onto it and go down a thought, all of mirrors of thoughts, which then puts you into the movie. So that's just what occurred to me. And I don't know that I need to know anything else. I know I don't need to know anything else. But it's just a bit confusing that I still get into the movie and now I'm in the movie, you know, and
What is the I that goes in the movie and get lost in the movie? Well, what is the I?
Yeah, it's just a reflection. It's just thoughts reflecting. It's just...
See, exactly, that I, that point in consciousness that finds itself in a dream at night when you sleep. There's a point in consciousness experiencing the environment in which it finds itself. The same point in consciousness wakes up in the morning and experiences itself in this environment. The same point in consciousness experiences itself in the fantasy of tomorrow or the next trip or any other thought. The point in consciousness, but is the whole consciousness lost?
No, I mean, it has to be there before that comes. So I feel that.
So
no,
you're not
it's
that
there
point.
Before that comes. Yeah.
You're not that point.
Yeah.
You are the space-like awareness. The point arises, the vantage point or the reference point arises and falls away. But you are the space of knowing in which those, roles are assumed. The dream character assuming different roles, the dreamer, the seeker, the man, the husband. The consciousness is playing, but you are not the one that assumes the role. This is just a movement of attention, which is happening within that space, that relaxed space in which is your essential nature. The Satchitananda, being, knowing, loving to be. It doesn't have,
But it's just happening.
Yeah.
It's that word grace. Life is, life is experiencing, the experience is occurring as it is through that lens, that position. And, the experience is different from that
This
lens.
is the right one.
Is
And that lens, and that lens.
Can we swap seats? Will that help?
And if you really look, what is there behind the lens?
It's just empty.
It's
There's nothing.
empty.
Yeah.
It's empty
But that's
space.
the
There's
thing
no
too,
thing
because
there.
there's nothing with the sounds. So if that sounds arise and there's nothing there, well, that's just sound. And it's the same with the thoughts. So there's no experience. There's just...
It's an illusion. It's a mirage. It's, it looks like, we're all having this wonderful discussion about, non-duality, but it's empty space. Still talking to empty space, and empty spaces. Really? There's nothing behind these eyes.
Yeah.
I can't find a
And the
me.
thing is, it's happening here as well. Like, it's in here. Like, it's not out there.
The
It's like...
experience is that.
But even logically, right? Like the stimuli, the eyes
What
are
is
interpreting,
logic?
the brain's interpreting, all the senses are interpreting, and it's creating a whole reality inside.
Is that just another concept? Is that just another learnt way of expressing? Your science has taught us,
What is it?
blah, blah, blah.
Logical,
How do we know?
Yeah.
How do we know?
I took this psychedelic once. Only, yeah, and and what happened was that my arm was over there, my head was over there, and my legs was over there. And to many people that may seem like a really disorientating experience. But it was absolutely beautiful. It was so magnificent to just see that everything is appearing in this. And the appearance of solidity and a body that's in one piece and all that is still an appearance. So when my arm was there and leg was there and head was there, it was like, well, of course. It's obvious that this is just giving me a fragmented, different perspective on something that is consistently appearing as solidity and happening in a particular location. There is no location. It's pretty clear in the first line of the book, a reference point where any substance or independent nature cannot be found. There is no reference point as such. It is just, it's an appearance, appearing to no one as such.
Just,
that's sensory distortion, because that's
Sure.
the level of the senses.
Yes.
Pointer,
I hear. Take this.
It's a pointer to the absolute.
yeah.
It's not well, who am I to say what your experience is? But generally, I draw a sharp distinction, a very sharp distinction between what the effects of drugs are and what the state of absolute existence is.
Of course. Of course.
Much more powerful.
Yeah, it comes and it goes. You're not that.
Yeah, okay.
It's an object. It has a birth and a death. You're not that. But it's all the matrix of it, the fabric of it, the background of it is that which is we cannot describe, put our finger on. Because the mind, again, works dualistically in pairs of opposites. Every object, whatever you think, it contains its opposite. Pain, pleasure.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why Bob was always reminding us, watch the mind, see how it works, and leave it there. Don't try and understand it. It's just more opportunity to go into the labyrinth of thoughts and, accumulate concepts. Drop it all. When you can see, when you've seen clearly that there is no point of reference that you can put your finger on and say, that's who I am, that's me, that's how I control things in this life. When you realize there is no such thing, none of it is personal, that's it. Stop there, leave it at that. Done. Nothing more can be done, could ever have been done. Everything else is in everything, as you say, whether it's seemingly externally chemically induced or internally, there's no outside, no inside, up or down, it doesn't matter. It's all experience. Whether we can label it in scientific terms or logic or who cares? To whom does it matter, ultimately?
Just to comment on how identities can be, completely anything. Like when I was watching I've mentioned this before years ago, I was watching a lot of Korean dramas. And so I was, here at Bob's, and so I might be making some comments, but the image in my head was of a young Korean male speaking, because those were the protagonists I was seeing all the time who were doing the talking. And that was just the image that popped up with the words coming out of here. Yeah.
The conversation before just reminded me of a film I was watching, and it was about impersonation. So we're sort of used to the idea of personas and the mask that appears, and we attach a personality to that. And this was about impersonations. And there was a couple of people in characters in the film, or the lead character was living a dream about being Elvis Presley. And he looked like he might have been Elvis Presley if he'd died 20 years older. He didn't really look like Elvis Presley, but he's sort of like him. but he was impersonating him. And another character was impersonating Marilyn Monroe. And they were putting on a performance in Las Vegas, I think it was. And on the film, they stopped the film for a little while and they showed stopped the action. They showed the billboard, world famous impersonators appearing in this show at Las Vegas. And the rest of the film is about how this character journeys to Gracelands. He's going to Gracelands. He wants to go to Gracelands, which is the mansion that Elvis Presley owned. And he apparently did it every year. At the same time, he'd go on his Elvis Presley's birthday. And there's hundreds of thousands of other people all make this vigil to Elvis Presley's mansion. And when he finally gets there, he goes in. He was stopped by a security guy, and the security guy said, "Well, you can't. You'll have to come back at 7. This is at 7 o'clock. You'll have to come back later." So he's with this other younger guy, and the younger guy says, "Well, you've gone so far and you've gone so many times. You're not going to give up, are you?" So he then sort of tries to jump over the fence. The young guy gives him a hand. He gets over the fence. And he goes into this house, this big old mansion of Elvis Presley's. And he walks inside and looks around. And then he breaks down. He starts crying. And then he says, "There's nobody there." In this great spacious mansion with nobody there, and he's reflecting a recognition of himself that there's nobody there. It's quite a clever film. But then
we're all impersonating something.
Yeah, we're impersonating.
Oh, it's a brilliant act.
And you see all of the footballers. They all have mentors and people that they impersonate. They want to be like experts in their field. But Shakespeare always gave a clue when he was describing things like I think it's the madman, the lover, and the poet are in imagination all the same, and describe the poet as he looks to heaven and looks to earth, looks to heaven, and out of airy nothing gives a name and local habitation. That's not a direct quote, but it's along those lines, and it's saying how this all comes out of airy nothing.
It's like a dream. Yeah, where does the dream come from? If you look at the world that is appearing in the dream, and if you get yourself a notebook and a pen, you may train yourself to remember 5-10 dreams. Every time you get up or go to the toilet, you just write a word or two and you'll remember. Incredible worlds arising out of thin air. And who are you in those dreams? You may not even remember your name. You will definitely not know how you got there. You will not know the age of the buildings appearing in the dream. No.
It's okay.
No, it was okay. No, it's delayed. Yes. So, how about we hear call? We haven't heard you for a while. See what comes up.
No.
Nothing comes up? Just open your mouth and let the Father speak.
One of the things that sort of, I mean, look, this chatters all the time. I mean, I don't have any problems with this conventional reality. I don't feel like I think that in this room, I feel we deny that conventional reality, and that's all there is. That's just the same as the unconventional reality that we talk about in this room. Yeah. And so that's one thing that came up. Now I've sort of another thing I do, I don't make a big deal of anything. I mean, like, nothing matters. And so I ask myself, well, why am I coming here? What am I doing there? I come here because I like meeting people, yeah? I don't really relate to something here. You know, there isn't a car. I mean, if I look, there isn't anything there, yeah? But I mean, I don't mind talking about me and what I do and what I like and all these sorts of things. So I let these, yeah. It's nothing coming up at the moment. Yeah, if it did, I would talk, and I would really talk, you know. But anyway, there you are.
It is
Thank
as
you.
it is. It's just so let it be. In being neutral. Yeah. There's no, I mean, though it might be perceived that way from time to time, that there is a rejecting of what is. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
There is an absolute acceptance of what is without judgment, but in a neutral way, knowing that there's no little mini me Cole who just articulated that. It's just coming out, it's just happening. And here and here and here and here. But loving it all. Wow, what a show! You know, all of these seeming individual entities playing their roles to perfection. Absolute perfection. It's beautiful and amazing. Amazing. And this, you know, brain, mind, whatever, will never figure it out. Totally at ease with that, knowing that, you know, it is what it is. And who is there to complain about it? To wish it was any different tomorrow? It had been any different in the past? It's just what it is, you know. And it's okay to feel, to have the thought and the feeling come up of gratitude. And what's wrong with wanting to be in this, what would we call it, energy field? You know, what's this saying that Jesus said was, when two or more gather in my name? You know, there is a sense of,
Community.
yeah,
Family.
something that it's enjoyable, pleasurable. Why wouldn't the body-mind seek that out? You know, the dream is wired for survival and pleasure.
And pleasure. I want to just add, thank you, Cole, for actually bringing it up. Because if there is any sense, if anyone has any sense that there is any denial of conventional reality going on there, then of course this is a misconception. This is the celebration of the conventional reality, which we recognize to be the dream. And absolutely just not even denying, but recognizing that the part of that conventional reality coming up from identifying as separate entity is only existing in a narrative, and when it's seen true, as absolutely included, the narrative doesn't go anywhere. The narrative will keep entertaining you for the rest of your life. But if there is no belief, like Tanya was saying, into the content of narrative, that conventional reality called dream is to be absolutely celebrated moment to moment as it unfolds. We don't say that it doesn't exist. We don't say that it does. It appears to be. That is the content of experiencing. And that content of experiencing is arising for the expression of that life essence, of that loving to be. It's a brilliant expression and it is fully appreciated. There's nothing wrong. There is no denial. And who doesn't love to share that incredible dream, incredible personal story of me, story of what happened, where I've been, what I've done. This is also the same life speaking and showing itself to itself in all those magnificent colors. What is actually making it even more celebratory is to not ask, why did I come? Which is a presumption that this is an I that has free will and has come. This is how it appears to be. And then give a logical explanation. I did because of that and because of that, because I got up in the morning and I did myself a cup of tea and I went in the car. But just recognizing it as the happening. Why did Kat come to the room? We can also tell a big elaborated story. He has decided to take a step because he likes this and he give meaning to everything. Just recognize life behind it. I am here because life brought me here. I can bring 5 stories. Why? But I can also embrace the mystery of, oh yes, I'm here. Why? Because, lovely story. Let's make few of those lovely stories. Why? Because those exist in conceptual thinking, in logic. And there's nothing wrong in conceptual thinking, in logic. This is another poetry. This is another way life sings its own glory. Through art, through painting, through discussions, through poetry, through food, through sex. All of it is just a beautiful way it dances itself. Logic, meaning, so long as you realize that there is no I doing any of it, you can't suffer. And if you do believe there is an I doing any of it, you can suffer. Or you can appear to suffer. You can experience the suffering. But if you also realize that this suffering happens in that free space-like awareness, there is nothing wrong even with that, with the appearance of suffering. There is nothing wrong even with that. That was Nisargadatta's brilliant pointer to the realization that there is absolutely nothing wrong. Unless you think about it, that would Bob say. But there is nothing wrong anymore once you recognize that the life is unfolding as it should, including the narrative, including giving a meaning, including taking credit. Life is unfolding as it should. And you are the consciousness, you are the presence in which it is unfolding. For the love and appreciation of that moment. For living it fully, for letting it experiencing itself fully, getting out of the way and let that life see, let that life experience all that comes. Let that dream be shared and appreciated. Why not? It's only now. Of course, it contains the past, it contains the future, it contains the plans, predictions, traumas, past lives, whatever you want to believe. All of it is included in a way it appears right now. So thank you for bringing it up, including this conventional reality, shared dream, which is wonderful to share, is nothing wrong unless you think it is, unless you think you have to wake up from the dream. I remember having a conversation with a person who said, my ex told her, look, this is just a ride, it's just a ride. And he played a Bill Hicks little sketch of life being just a ride. And she got really dysregulated and started yelling, how do I get off? Why? Why get off? What a ride it is. Enjoy while it lasts.
It will change.
It is a vacation from the eternity of nothingness. Enjoy it while it lasts. It is right here, right now. If there is any objection for that being right here, right now, that objection is another object in awareness. Enjoy that too. Recognize that too. It's another cloud on the sky. I don't want it to be this way. I want it out of the ride. I want to kill myself. I want blah, 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 blah. It's just another appearance in that awareness that you are. Until there is no objection, there is nothing wrong, the pure recognition that you are space. You are like, I had a conversation a few days ago with a friend, I have the one-on-one. Why do you think you are an I, the one letter? Why don't you think you are the sky? This is so much more who you are. You're not the I, you are the sky. In that sky, the whole dream arises. The sky-like awareness, the space-like presence. This is experienced directly. I is imagined. It requires the thought to be something, somewhere, trapped in the body. It requires the interpretation. It requires the mind. Direct experience without the concept of being something small, separate, somewhere. Here, located, born, time-bound. This is a lot of concepts. You are the sky in which the whole dream arises. That's directly known without the thought, without locating, interpreting. That's it. You want to add something?
Yeah, let's go into it. Yeah. We don't think we're the sky because we're tigers that have been brought up in a community of sheep.
That's beauty. Yeah, there was this nice metaphor. Oh, sorry. Metaphor of being a lion born amongst the sheep. Yes, and recognizing its true nature once it sees its reflection. That's a popular metaphor, and thank you for bringing it in. Yes, we think we are something. The moment we stop thinking, wow, the expansion. So instead of thinking what we are this, that, or the other, just have a look.
It's so limiting.
Yeah.
So limiting.
She didn't hear
when
it.
you have a concept.
I did. I just want to include, yes, plus we had a big break in the middle. So we had some technical issues. So thank you, Tristan. I'm just going to include a couple of people who are in the community and then you bounce it again. I did hear, don't you worry. Anthony says, my cry. And then Heather says, it is an occasion from the journey of nothingness. I love this. It's a vacation from the eternity, the break, the little vacation from the eternity of nothingness, from the journey of nothingness, Heather says. And Anthony says, the me is free to think it knows. In the background, I know that I don't actually know anything. Embracing the mystery is where it's at. Mind just hates the unknown, laughing out loud. Bless it. Bless the mind. Brilliant as it is. Love it. Yes. Thank you, Anthony. And now you want to give us the beautiful sound of the bowl? Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Love you all.
Love you all.